Hello everyone and welcome to our weekly comic preview, the show where we fill you in on a couple of our selected comics that are arriving in store this Wednesday. First up this week we have Atomic Robo and the Temple of Odd Issue 1. Originally published daily in half-page chunks, IDW is now releasing this story as a 5-part miniseries. Set in the year 1938, the story sees our robotic hero on the trail of a superweapon that could turn the tide of World War II. Sent to Japan to retrieve the scientist who created the weapon, Robo will encounter secret government agencies, moon men, jet-lagged aliens, Arctic Circle elves, all coming together to make this a thoroughly unpredictable, adventure-filled story. Our second comic this week is Blue Beetle Rebirth Issue 1. Following DC's most recent host to the superpower-granting scarab known as the Blue Beetle, the story picks up with teenager Jaime Reyes. Lost in the desert with no memory of the past few years, Jaime must find his way back home, but as he finally reaches his hometown, it becomes apparent that all is not as he left it. The town is completely abandoned, except for the presence of several shady-looking government officials who seem overly interested in the Blue Beetle and the scarab that gives him his power. Can the Blue Beetle find his family and uncover the truth behind the town's seizure, or will the intervention of Cord Industries prevent the world from ever learning the truth? Third in line this week we have Deathstroke Issue 1. In this storyline called The Professional, we see Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke, travelling to a dangerous war-torn African country to fulfill his most recent contract. Finding himself caught in the middle of a disintegrating alliance between a deadly supervillain and a ruthless dictator, Slade must tread carefully or risk the fate of an entire nation. And when a face from Slade's past resurfaces to complicate things even further, the world's greatest assassin finds himself having to choose between completing his contract and saving an old friend. Next up we have the first issue of an all-new series from Valiant Comics called Generation Zero. Stolen from their families by the private weapons contractor known as Project Rising Spirit, the members of Generation Zero were raised to be psychic soldiers. After years of taking orders, the team fought for and won their freedom, pledging to protect each other and use their abilities to right wrongs for a generation without a future. Upon receiving a plea for help from a girl named Keisha Sherman, the team head to a town called Rook in Michigan to investigate the suspicious death of Keisha's boyfriend. As word of the team's presence spreads through town, it's not long before this volatile team of teenage upstarts discovers they're not the only extraordinary thing that's come to town. Our fifth comic this week is the first issue of another 5-part miniseries from IDW, this time featuring the world's most notorious monster, Godzilla. Godzilla, Rage Across Time, will travel to different time periods and locations throughout history to examine the origin of the myths that fueled the nightmares. From the creators of smash hit Godzilla in Hell, this series will see new creative talent brought in for every issue, giving each its own distinctive style. In this first issue, we see Godzilla bring his terror to none other than feudal Japan. Sixth in line this week we have issue 1 of Hellblazer, kicking off the new storyline named The Poison Truth. Catching up with Constantine, we see him approached by Swamp Thing, who has decided to call in a long overdue favour. With one of Swamp Thing's closest allies missing, Constantine steps up to help out an old friend. However, as the investigation continues, it becomes clear to DC's foremost occult detective that something much bigger and much darker is brewing in the shadows. Last up this week we have Kingsway West Issue 1 from Dark Horse Comics. Set in a fantastical version of the Old West, crackling with magic, the story follows the Chinese gunslinger Kingsway Law. After spending 13 years in a war that made him a monster, the year is now 1861, and all Kingsway wants is to live a quiet, peaceful life with his wife Sonia. But a man of Kingsway's skills can never disappear quite so easily, and it's not long before a mysterious woman with a red gold sword brings bloody chaos to his doorstep. Once again drawn into a conflict that is not his own, Kingsway must fight for his life, his wife, and in this world of strange magic, even his very soul. Okay, that's all our suggestions this week everybody. For the full list of comics you can check out our Facebook page, and for regular updates on the store you can follow our Twitter at the Geek-Aboo. Also, don't forget next time you're in store, if you buy 3 to 4 comics we'll give you 10% off, and 5 or more comics will get you a whole 15% off. Thanks for watching everybody, we'll see you next week.